Namaste and good morning, everyone. We'll have the opening prayers. Om Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Now Mahamrityunjaya mantra 3 times. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhana Mrutyurmukshiyamamrutat. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhana Mrutyurmukshiyamamrutat. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhana Mrutyurmukshiyamamrutat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Welcome everyone. Earlier in one of the classes we started this topic of samasa or the compounds, and we did the Dvandva Samasa. Dvandva Samasa is a compound where two words come together and both of them are equally important. Both of them are represented equally, so to speak, in a sentence. So when I say Rama Lakshmanau, I say Rama cha Lakshmana cha. Today we'll see Tatpurusha Samasa, and also it's one of the categories called Karma Dharaya Samasa. Tatpurusha Samasa is probably the most frequent occurring samasa in the literature. So once you get familiar with it, you can identify many words which are in the category of this particular compound. So what does this word mean, Tatpurusha? So Tatpurusha it is itself a compound made of two different words, Tat and Purusha. Tat, if you remember, it is the nominative singular of Tad, the pronoun. So if you go to the pronoun table and you see Tad, neuter, this Tat is there. nominative singular. So that it means it becomes a demonstrative, it becomes that man. Purusha means man. So it becomes that man. Another way this compound can be understood is that this actually means tasya purusha. And again, if you remember the pronoun table, tasya, it is the sixth case. This doesn't have to be neuter, it could be any gender. I'm just here because tasya actually is common word for masculine and neuter. So tasya purusha, his man. So this itself, both of them are examples of tatpurusha samasa. So the word itself represents the example of samasa, and we'll see what does it mean. If you look at in English, we have certain words like man-made, homemade, bookshelf. I just added the word gold ring. I do not know if it's used as a compound in English, but just to illustrate a point. If you have to make the sense of this word, you have to actually say made for man or made by man. Here you have to say made at home. Here you have to say shelf for books. And you have to say here golden ring, or we can say ring of gold. Or if in English it doesn't sound correct, but something like gold's ring, apostrophe s. So you see, in order to make the sense of these compound words, you have to use a preposition. In Sanskrit, you know the prepositions are represented by the case. So I have to use a case. That means a vibhakti, one of the cases, either of the 7-8 cases we have to use one of those cases to make a sense. So in English, we use the preposition. In Sanskrit, we will use the case. Now, another thing, if you remember here, take this example like bookshelf. Here, the shelf is really the important part, not the book. When you buy a bookshelf, you are actually buying a shelf. You are not buying a book. The shelf is the primary thing you are buying. So bookshelf, the shelf, the second part is the primary part. And this is Tatpurusha Samasa. The second component, the second word is the primary word. So in Dvandva Samasa, both were equally important. Here the last word is primary word in Tatpurusha Samasa. So that is one characteristic of Tatpurusha Samasa. So in this case, all these are actually Tatpurusha Samasa in English. Now, how do you know that I have to say made by man and say not another preposition? Say, can I not use made for man? Why man-made cannot mean made for man? Why should it be made by man? the answer will be given is that convention requires us to use these words in this manner. That man-made means made by man, not made for man. I also cannot use another preposition, say for example, made at man, because that will not make sense. So some prepositions are ruled out because they will not make sense. Some prepositions are ruled out because convention requires them not to be used in this manner. So similar is the case in Sanskrit. Some prepositions will be ruled out because it will not make sense, or some cases will be ruled out. Some other cases will be ruled out because the context of the sentence or the convention will say that you have to use this particular case. But Sanskrit is far more flexible because the compounds are created on the fly. You can create a compound of any two related words. The words have to, of course, be in relation to each other to make sense. You cannot say just any two, like gold and crocodile. You cannot make a dvandva samasa of these two things. It doesn't make sense. So the words have to have some sort of a relationship in relation to each other. Then you make a compound, so that the compound word has its own meaning. Now, when I say the cases, I'll give you some examples that how the cases work. So when I use the second case, I call that Tatpurusha as Dutiya Tatpurusha. Dutiya, as you know, it is the second case, accusative case. So like here, for example, we can go to nominal conjugations, any one of them, and you will see like Ramam, accusative case. So this is also called Dutiya, second case. Dutiya means second in Sanskrit. So this Tatpurusha, where I resolve this compound, I make the vigraha of the compound using the second case. That Tatpurusha is called Dutiya Tatpurusha. So if there is a word called Dukkhatitaha, I will make it as Dukkham Atitaha. Dukkham is the second case. Atita. So second case only relates to the first word, not the second word. Second word would be in whatever case the actual word is, you will put the second word in the same case. So Dukkham Atita, Dukkhatita, beyond sorrow. That's what it means. So I resolve it by the second case. If I'm paraphrasing the compound, if I'm creating a vigraha, samasa vigraha, as you remember, the vigraha is the technical word for making a sense of samasa, just like split is for sandhi, vigraha is for samasa. There is a word called haritrataha. Haritrataha. Here I would say harina trataha. If you remember, hari, the third singular would be harina. We have already done this particular noun. Haritrataha, harina trataha. Trata means protected or rescued by Hari. Hari means Lord. So harina trataha, haritrataha. That's what it means. Chaturthi Tatpurusha, fourth case. When you resolve it using the fourth case, you will make that Tatpurusha would be called Chaturthi Tatpurusha. So Yupadaru, that's the word, Yupadaru. Here I would say Yupaya Daru. Yupa is a Akaranta word, and The fourth case singular would be Upaya, like Rama, Ramaya. Daru means wood. Upa is the sacrificial post in a fire ceremony. So earlier there would be big fire ceremonies. They would create a big sacrificial compound, so to speak, a small compound to conduct that fire ceremony. And the posts in the very center, those are called Upa. So the wood which is set aside for making those posts, it's called Upa Daru. Panchami Tatpurusha. When the fifth case is used, then you will make the name as Panchami Tatpurusha. So Panchami, like Chora Bhayam. Chora Bhayam. Chorat Bhayam. The first word is in the fifth case, like Rama, Ramat. Chora means thief. Chorat means from the thief. And Bhayam is fear. Fear from a thief. In English, we most likely say fear of a thief. But in Sanskrit, whenever you have the word Bhayam or the fear, it is from somebody. So that's why the fifth case is used. Shashti Tatpurusha. When the sixth case is used, you will use the Shashti Tatpurusha. Like Rama Dasaha. Rama, of course, as you know, Rama is the name of the Lord. Dasa is the servant. Rama's servant. Or it is also used somebody who has surrendered to Rama, who is devotee of Rama. So this word is also used as a devotee, Dasa. Means I don't have any will of my own. Only Lord Rama's will be my will. So somebody who has surrendered himself for God also is Dasa. So Rama Dasa. Here the Shashti Tatpurusha. Ramasya Dasa. If you remember that prayer we used to chant, Ramasya Dasosmyaham. This exactly the same words come there. Ramo Rajamani Sada Vijayate. That prayer we were chanting earlier in Sanskrit 1 course. So Ramasya Dasa. Rama Dasa. Rama's servant or devotee. Then Saptami Tatpurusha. When the Saptami is used, you will use the Saptami Tatpurusha. So Karma Kushalaha. Adept in work. Karma Kushalaha. Karmani Kushalaha. We have also done this one particular Karman. Karman is the unending neuter noun, and it becomes Karmani, seventh case singular. Just to show you that we did that here, so that you remember. Karma, Karman, Karmani, seventh case singular, Karmani. So Karmani Kushalaha. Karma Kushalaha. Adept in work. Kushala means adept. There is no vocative Tatpurusha. So you will never have like vocative Tatpurusha. So it's only the other 7 cases. Now even 7 cases, you will see the first case here is missing. I did not include the first case. So I did the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. But first one is not done. And the reason for that is the first one has a special name called Karma Dharaya. So when the first word is in the same case as the second word, then it becomes Karma Dharaya. The compound name. It's like a subcategory of Tatpurusha, you can say. An example here would be Neela Kamalam, blue lotus. So Neelam, Kamalam, they both are singular, nominative singular. They are just happen to be the neuter nouns. So if you remember Vanam, Vanam, Vana, Vanam, like here, Vanam, nominative singular of Vana. akaranta neuter noun. So Neelam, Kamalam, blue lotus. Generally, Karmadharaya Samasa, it happens, I'll just write it in the Karmadharaya Samasa, it happens with the adjective and the corresponding noun, which that adjective is qualifying. So adjective noun combination is one of the very common combinations for Karmadharaya Samasa, like here, blue lotus. So Neelam, Kamalam. As you know, the adjective and noun, they share the same case, same number, same gender. Karmadharaya Samasa is a very common example of adjective and corresponding noun. Another one is where you would do a simile or a metaphor. Dark like a cloud, ghana shyamaha. Ghana eva shyamaha. Eva means like. So ghana means cloud, shyama means dark, dark like a cloud. It's a word used for Lord Krishna, ghana shyama. So these are the normally the Tatpurusha Samasa. Out of these, the sixth case, Tatpurusha, sixth case, that is the most common. 70% plus, you will find sixth case Tatpurusha, Shashti Tatpurusha. And the second common is third case. That is 17 to 18%. So you see that close to 90% is sixth case and third case. So that's why it may seem like a lot of variety, but most of the time you would find that you are okay with using the sixth Shashti Tatpurusha, and in some cases Tritiya Tatpurusha. There could be some other cases where there may be other types of samasa, but generally sixth and the third case would be the most common. And Karmadharaya also, it happens sometimes. So this is the Tatpurusha Samasa, where the second word is more important, or second word is the primary thing, and first word is qualifying the second word in some way. It's just telling you something about the second word. Now let's say you have Ramasya Dasaha. Ramadasa will take the sixth. This is, as you can see, it's a nominative singular. Ramadasa, because it becomes one word, and as a one word, it will have its own declensions, like Akaranta, masculine noun, like Rama. So when you say Ramadas goes, so you will say Ramadasa gachati. If you say I see Ramadasa, aham Ramadasam pashyami. So in that case, it will be Ramasya dasam. Like the compound would be, the second case would remain as it is, only the first word will always be in Shashti Tatpurusha. Second word will be in whatever the way it is appearing in the sentence. So if you say Ramadasam pashyami, that means Ramasya dasam pashyami. I just want to make sure that you understand, or are there any questions? So there is a question, can Purusha mean human instead of man? It can mean sometimes. Purusha can mean human instead of man. Generally, Purusha is used with the word for man, but it could be used in some cases for human. There's a question, Swamiji, when you see the compound, how would you guess which case it relates to? So you would purely guess it is from the context of the sentence. Yes, you would guess it from the context of the sentence. There are some rules given in Panini grammar regarding the compound, and we will not go into too detail of those rules. Like as I told you, bhayam, this word for the fear, always uses fifth case. So you know that is a fifth case. But as I told you, the Sashti Tatpurusha, the sixth case, that is the most common, 70% plus. And then third Tritiya Tatpurusha is another 17-18%. So 90% would be these two. So if you just think of from that perspective, it is not that difficult. You would have covered a very good ground. Even if you are not always able to figure out which particular case, you have covered a very good ground just by sixth case and third case. Okay, there is a question. I am confused. Are we using the base form of the word to make samasa for both words? I'm not sure, Baba, if I understand your question. Can you please put it in a little bit more detail with the example? There is a question, Neela Kamalam. So I said Neelam Kamalam. The question is, can we have Neelam Cha Kamalam Cha and make it Dwandwa? So the answer is no, because Neelam means blue, Kamalam means lotus. You cannot say blue and lotus, like that doesn't make sense. So we have to see the meaning of the word. If instead of Neelam, it would have been another flower name like lotus, let's say if there would have been a word for rose, then you could have said it's a Dvandva Samasa. But here it's not a Dvandva Samasa. It is blue is the adjective to lotus, and it is one word, Neela Kamalam, which is referring to one flower, not two flowers. How I can recognize the case in the samasa? I think I explained that. Okay, some comments are there, very clear, perfectly explained. Thank you. There is a comment here. Swamiji, can you please, Rama's servant? I see Rama's servant. I'm not sure, Lalitama, if you can just clarify what exactly are you asking for. When I said the sentence, I see Rama's servant, that means in Sanskrit it will be aham Ramadasam pashyami. So it would become like in Sanskrit, aham Ramadasam pashyami. So Ramadasam would become the second case, like Ramadasa, Ramadasam. And if I have to do the Vigraha here, I'll actually do in the same manner, that Ramasya Dasam, like that. So the sixth case will remain the same for the first word, even though second word is appearing in the different case. Okay. There is a question for Karmadhara Samasa. What I understand, both words, case, number, gender need to match. Is it correct? Not necessarily. They don't have to match all the time. What I'm saying, that one category is the adjective and noun. So when it is adjective and noun, then they will match. But both will always be in the same case. That is the important part. So when you say from blue lotus, fragrance is coming. Let's say if that is the sentence, from blue lotus fragrance is coming. So from blue lotus means it will be in the fifth case, Neela Kamalat. So there if you have to say what would be the Vigraha, Samasa Vigraha, it would be Neelat Kamalat. Like both would be in fifth case, Neelat Kamalat. So that sense I was saying. But they don't always have to be, most of the time you will find them in the same gender, same case and same number. But generally it is the same case which you will find always in Karmadhara. That is the requirement of Karmadhara. But generally the other two are also there, but not always. Okay, I mean, are we using base word, for example, Rama instead of Ramasya to make the samasa? And the second word can take any case. So yes, we are using, I think I again explained to you, so that should be clear to you, that Ramasya Sashti Tatpurusha is the sixth case Tatpurusha. So sixth case Tatpurusha means the first word will always be in the sixth case. It could be sixth plural also, doesn't have to be sixth singular. It could be any number depending upon the context, but it would be sixth case if it's a Shashti Tatpurusha. And second word would be in whatever case it appears in the sentence. Like in this case, Aham Ramadasam Pashyami, it is the second case. So that it will remain as the second case. So I can say here, Aham Ramadasam Pashyami. Okay. Technically, it would be the Anuswara, but I'm not doing the Sandhi here just to show you. Rama and the servant, Dvandva Samasa will be equal to Rama's servant, Tatpurusha Samasa. No, Rama and the servant will become two persons. When I say Ramadasa, Rama's servant, it's only one person. So the question here is, Rama and the servant, Dvandva Samasa will be equal to Rama's servant. No, they will not be equal. There will be two different Samasas, meaning completely different thing. If I have say Rama and Rama's servant is, let's say, whatever his name, or even then I would make a compound of those two people, and that becomes a dual noun. That becomes a two persons. Here it's the person is only one person. Ramadasa is one person. There is a question. I see that some letters at the end of first word are omitted in Tatpurusha. Is that due to Sandhi? Please give me an example where you see the first word are omitted. The Visarga, the Karmani Koshala, for example, the Samasa will always have the base word, the Pratipadika. So Karma Koshala, Neela Kamalam, it's the Vigraha which will have the full case, full Vibhakti. But the Samasa word itself will not have the Vibhakti of the first word. So if that's what you're referring to, that's a general property of Samasa. So there is a comment here. I can see how these compounds can be a very powerful tool to write concisely and create new words. Yes, indeed, that is one of the very common reasons why we employ Samasa in Sanskrit. Okay, so I hope this part is clear. I have taken all the questions. So the Samasa, essentially, if you go into all the rules, it can become quite complicated. And it is considered one of the difficult topics in Sanskrit, because the rules per se are not so many, but the fact that you can create Samasa on the fly, like there is no particular preset number of words where you can have Samasa. So that's what makes it, and Samasa can have Samasa within Samasa within Samasa, like really, really long words. That's what makes it a difficult thing to parse. But the concept per se is not difficult. concept per se is fairly straightforward. It is the application of that concept when you see in a sentence that sometimes can be frightening to look at all these long words which doesn't make sense. But if you go one by one and then you can identify the relationship, you would be able to get to the meaning. All right. So with this, there is another kind of samasa in Tatpurusha category that is called Nai Tatpurusha. Nai means negative. It's Nai is the Sanskrit word for negative. What does negative mean? Like in English, we have able and unable, authorized, unauthorized. So un becomes a prefix for negation. Similarly, there is a prefix here, akara or un. When any of these two prefixes are there, it is called Nai Tatpurusha or negative Tatpurusha. So when we use akara and when we use un, akara when used when the word, next word which follows this negative particle starts with a consonant. And un we use when the next word starts with a vowel. That's all. So akara for consonant starting words and un for vowel starting words. Like a or an in English also we have an apple, a bat, very, very similar. But in Sanskrit, the meaning of this particle becomes negative. Now, negative does not, what does negative mean? So negative has like 4 different connotations, or there are actually more, but I would just list out the principal ones. So it could mean different, like in this word called abrahmana, abrahmanaha. So you see this particle, the word is actually brahmana. Brahmana is a person of high caste in India, or learned caste, person who is learned, person who is given to austerities. Abrahmana means non-Brahmin. That doesn't mean that opposite to Brahmin. It means person other than Brahmin. So if I say, okay, bring me a Brahmana, then that would mean bring me somebody who is not Brahmin, but bring somebody else other than Brahmin. So it's a different, here the opposite the negative means different, but not like opposite. Then another connotation of negative could be lack of. Avignam. So vignam is any obstacle. Avignam, this particle, akara, that makes it avignam, that means lack of obstacles. That means there are no obstacles. So it's a lack of. It doesn't mean that there is something. It's not like there is something physically there as non-obstacle. It is just that lack of, absence of obstacles is I'm calling avignam. So in mantras we say avignam astu, let there be no obstacles. When we do some fire ceremony, there is some prayer in the starting, we say avignam astu, may there be no obstacles. Then less of, it also means less of. So it can mean lack of, like absence, or it could mean less of, not absence, but less. So this is an interesting word, anudara. So if you look at an here, because udara is the starting with vowel, so we use an. Anudara. Udara, the word udara, udara means belly. In English, belly. I think this is correct spelling, belly. Or udara becomes a feminine, and anudara means without belly. Or so it's not like without belly, it's like one. So anudara is used, it's a feminine word, it's used for say for example a girl who has very slim middle portion. So Anudara Kanya, that doesn't mean that she has no belly, but less of belly, doesn't have protruding belly. Similarly, Abala, Bala means strength, Abala means lack of strength, somebody who has a lack of strength. Not not less strength, not like complete lacking in the strength, but less of. Here lack of, or you can say absence of. And then it can mean opposite, this negative particle. 9. So adharmaha, dharma you probably all know, righteousness. Adharma means opposite to righteousness. So it's not just absence of righteousness. So if dharma is, say for example, to help others, then to hurt others would be adharma. Suraha would be a divine person. Asura is like a devilish person. So it can mean opposite. So these are the different connotations in which this negative tatpurusha is used. Very common, you will find this a or an, these two prefixes. Okay, I hope this is clear from so far. Let's see if what all we have. There are some examples from Gita I want to show you. So Gita, interestingly, doesn't have any example of, as far as I know, Dutiya Tatpurusha, second case Tatpurusha. So as I told you that most common is sixth and third. So third, I'll give you an example. Aparyapta, this is the verse number 110. Aparyaptam tadasmakam balam bhishmabhirakshitam. This word, bhishmabhirakshitam, it's coming here in the second case singular. This is one word. But if you look at here, if I say bhishmabhirakshitam, it's actually made of two words, bhishma abhirakshitam. They are the two words for which compound has taken place. And this here is in the third case. So bhishmena abhirakshitam, protected by Bhishma. So that's what it means. So bhishmena abhirakshitam. Similarly, bhima abhirakshitam also, bhimena abhirakshitam. These are the tritiya tatpurusha in the third case. Then there is an example of fifth tatpurusha, panchami tatpurusha. Kama esha krodha esha rajoguna samudbhava. So this is one word actually, rajoguna samudbhava. It is not because of sandhi, it is one word. So for our purpose, the compound is in these two words, rajoguna samudbhava, rajoguna samudbhava. So this is the fifth case. That means rajogunat samudbhava. It is born of rajoguna. When you see the sentences, as you practice more, your vocabulary improves, you can understand that which particular case would be more applicable. By default, you can go for sixth and second case is third, but in some cases you will find out that which case should be applicable. So here it is born of rajoguna. And when I say born of, in English I'm saying born of rajoguna, but in Sanskrit it would be like from. It's coming from rajoguna. Samudbhava means born, and from rajoguna. So rajoguna samudbhava. And then sashti. I hope you can figure out in sashti tatpurusha, the very first verse has sashti tatpurusha, and two words are there. So these two words, dharma kshetre, here it is dharmasya kshetre, the field of dharma. Kurukshetre. So Kuru is a Ukaranta masculine. It's the name of a king. If you remember Ukaranta masculine, the sixth case singular, we did last time. Guroho. Guru means Guroho. Kuru would be Kuroho. Kuroho Kshetre. So this part we leave unchanged. Kuroho Kshetre, it's happening in the seventh case. Dharmasya Kshetre. Kuroho Kshetre. But you understand that if it were singular, then it would be Kuroho Kshetram, like that. Then Saptami Tatpurusha. Naradhaman. So here it is made of two. Nara, Adhaman. Second plural, as you can see, Raman, Adhaman, second plural. So here it is Nareshu. Nareshu Adhaman. Among the men, he is the lowly person. He is a abominable person among the men, among the human beings. Here it means. So here I am saying Nareshu, so it could be plural also. So first case, when I say seventh case, number could be singular, dual, or plural. So Nareshu Adhaman. This I'm referring to the people who is really lowly among all the men, all the human beings. So these are some examples from Gita. I wanted to just share with you. I'll take the questions. There are apparently quite a few, 15 I can see from the last time I answered all. So I'll go them over. Okay, so apparently I made a mistake in the belly spelling. It's B-E-L-L-Y. Thank you. I'll correct it. So there were some comments for, so B-E-L-L-Y. All right. So there is a question. Ganesha is remover of obstacles. He is known as Vigneshwara, not Avigneshwara. Correct. He is known as Vigneshwara, means he is the lord of all the obstacles. He has the full control over obstacles, and therefore he can remove the obstacles. The question is Abala feminine. This word Abala is feminine. Yes, it's a Akaranta noun. It's a feminine Akaranta. So we say Abala Nari. If it were a masculine, then we would have a short A. Abala Purusha, like that. Abala Purusha. But generally it is used for, because women have less physical strength, generally speaking, Abala is a common adjective for a woman. So there is a question, Baba, can you please give the examples starting with words akara or an that are direct words and don't negate, how to differentiate both? I'm not sure if avastha is one. So the word she is referring to is avastha. So avastha. So how do you know, just like in English, how do you know that unable means with not able, but there could be university, which is also started with the UN, but it doesn't negate anything. So just the vocabulary, like from the vocabulary, as you have the more vocabulary, you would understand whether it's a negative it's negating something, or it is simply a word which has some other meaning. So avastha is naturally a word which doesn't negate. It is avastha means a particular state. So just like in English, we have the words with un, which are non-negative, but there are a lot of words which negate. So as your vocabulary improves, you will understand which one is which. Somebody is asking Vigraha of Gunatita. Okay, so this is a special, like I told you, Dukkhatita. So Gunatita would be also, I think, Dutiya Tatpurusha. So when I said I could not find an example, like person, you are giving me probably this example of Gunatita as the second Tatpurusha. So thank you. I think it is the second Tatpurusha, the Dutiya Tatpurusha. Question: how would you identify samasa and sandhi from the sentence, because both look similar? That I explained in the previous sessions also. Samasa is compound two words coming together with making a single meaning. Sandhi just happens to be incidental, like two words just happen to come together. Both may look similar, but as you have like better vocabulary and understand the text better, you will be able to understand that which is sandhi, which is samasa. Think of it in a little bit funny manner. If you have a party and two people just happen to be together, they may look like as if together, but they are just happen to be together. On the other hand, if you have a newly made boyfriend and girlfriend, they would always be together. They will not be split from it, no matter wherever they are. So it's just a funny example. But samasa is something that you cannot separate. You cannot create a split in the words until unless you use the case. But sandhi is, you can always put the words in different places without changing the meaning. Why not rajoguna samudbhavat? So this is the example from Gita I gave. Rajoguna samudbhava. So I do not change the word itself. Remember, rajoguna samudbhava itself is a word in the nominative singular or nominative plural actually. Nominative rajoguna. No, it's a nominative singular. Udbhava. So I do not change the word itself. All I'm saying, I'm trying to understand what does this word mean. And this word would mean that rajogunat samudbhava, the born of rajoguna. So you do not say samudbhavat. You say rajog. I hope you understand that it is not that I am trying to create a new word here. I'm just trying to parse the word which is already there. So that's why it becomes rajogunat samudbhava. Sandhi happens between two letters and samasa is between the words, isn't it? Yes. Yet they may look very similar. That is true. That it happens between, sandhi is between two letters because they happen to come together, and the samasa is between two words. Yes, that is a correct thing. But when you look at in a sentence, they may look like you may not always be able to figure out whether it is a sandhi or samasa. But as you gain more experience, you would be able. Okay, with this, I'll have a class exercise. So here is the exercise. I'll put it in a word format, maybe. That might be better. Okay, so this is the exercise. So you write the vigraha for the following samasa words. I have provided the hyphen in between just to give you an idea that which are the two different words. And you should be able to provide the vigraha. They are not all Tatpurusha Samasa. They are a mix of Dvandva and Tatpurusha, because we have already done Dvandva. So they are a mix of Dvandva and Tatpurusha Samasas. Just to let you know, so that you don't think that everything is Tatpurusha. So try to write Vigraha and see what, and we can discuss anything if needed after our class. Okay. So these are only 11 words. It is 9:56. We'll meet in 10 minutes again. Thank you. Welcome back. So I hope you were able to figure this out. Vigraha of these words. So Sukha Dukhe. We'll just solve them here. So this one would be Sukham Cha Dukkham Cha. This is Dvandva Samasa. Kavya Vinodaha. So Kavya is a poetry and Vinoda is entertainment. In English, we can say entertainment in poetry, but here it is actually entertainment through poetry or by poetry. So it's a third case. Kavyena Vinoda. Tritiya Tatpurusha it would be. Pasha Baddha. So Pasha is the rope, Baddha is the tide, and here again it becomes Pashena Baddha. Tritiya Tatpurusha. Vyaghra Bhayam. This I already told you. Bhayam, whenever it is there in Sanskrit, it will be the fifth case. Panchami Tatpurusha. Vyagrat Bhayam. Fear from tiger. Mitra Labha. Acquisition of a friend. So this is Mitrasya Labha. Sashti Tatpurusha. Labha is the gain or acquisition. Mitra is friend. So acquisition of a friend. Narapatihi. Nara is the man or human beings. Patihi is Lord or the master. So this is Nara is the, it's not like a one person's Lord. He is the Lord of the people. So it would be Naranam Patihi in the plural case. Naranam Patihi. Narapatihi. Nareshwaraha. It is exactly the same compound, just a different word. Here it is Napatihi, it is Ishwara. Meaning is the same. So it will be the same as, here it becomes Nara Ishwaraha. And you see Akara and Ikara, there is a Guna Sandhi. That's why Nareshwara. So when two words are together in Samasa, if there is a Sandhi to take place, it will take place between two sounds. So that is a important part, that if a Sandhi can or will be there in a Samasa wherever applicable. So when two words are together in a Samasa and if a Sandhi is to take place between those two words, it will take place. It's not an option. You cannot put Nara Ishwara, because remember in Samasa they are not two different words. It becomes one word. You cannot have a space. So Nareshwaraha. So Nara Ishwara. So here is the same thing. Naranam Ishwaraha. Nareshwaraha. Vidya Nipunaha. Skilled in a branch of learning. So this is seventh case. Vidya Do you remember Vidyayam Nipunaha? Vidyayam Nipunaha. Krishna Bhaktaha, Saptami Tatpurusha. Krishna Bhaktaha, it is the same as like Ramadasa we did. Krishnasya Bhaktaha, Sashti Tatpurusha. Anichha. So the way I put this compound, I always say na ichha, nai tatpurusha. So when we do the vigraha vakyam of these negative tatpurusha or nai tatpurusha, we always use like na ichha, whether it is vowel or consonant, it doesn't matter. Na ichha, anichha. Priya, priye, pleasant and unpleasant. So this word and kind of gives you, if you understand from the translation or the meaning, it gives you that and would mean Dvandva Samasa. So Priyam, Cha, Apriyam Cha. An interesting thing here is Apriya is also a Samasa, it's a Nai Tatpurusha. So Apriya is a Nai Tatpurusha. So technically here you can see, first there is a Tatpurusha, Nai Tatpurusha, and with that another word, and it becomes a Dvandva Samasa in total. So Samasa can be within Samasa like that. Here it's a very simple Samasa, but sometimes it can be quite complicated Samasas. So this is the exercise we just did. I hope by now you should be pretty comfortable with this concept of Tatpurusha Samasa. There are certain other categories of Tatpurusha Samasa, and maybe we will cover them later on. We will not go into detail right now, but this, whatever we cover today, should give you a fairly good idea how Tatpurusha Samasa is to be understood, we have to understand in a sentence. Now I want to discuss a few things with you, and one is that exercise submission. So I am seeing very few people submitting the exercise, the homework. I do not know what is the reason. We have actually reduced the number of days. Last time when we were having the course, we had 3 days a week and people complained that too much homework. But this time I am seeing a vast majority of people is not simply submitting the exercises. So please do submit the exercises. It is very important for your learning that exercises are done and submitted. If there is any reason where we could be of any help, please let us know. But otherwise, I would request you quite persuasively, please submit the exercises. What I find is surprising that many people who were submitting the exercises in Sanskrit 1 course are not doing it in Sanskrit 2 course. So if there is something which we can be of help, please let us know. But otherwise, please submit the exercises. I just want to share with you a quote from Guruji, which somebody, Guruji, I mean, you might have all received the email this weekend on Guru Purnima. Yesterday we had a Guru Purnima festival, which is considered a very holy festival, holy occasion. So this is the quote from his email. Learning requires no specific age or other conditions. For learning, there is no reason or season. It is a natural tendency to expand our lives by expanding our learning. Learning is an attitude. When people open their minds to learning, they can learn every moment. With an open heart and an open mind, we can learn. And our class is a very good testimony to that, as I have shared with you earlier. A good number of students in the class are in 70s, in their 70s. That shows that learning truly does, there is no age for learning. And also at the same time, we also have teenagers in our class. So it's a very varied class. So I found this quote very apt for our class, so wanted to share with you all. Another thing, there was a suggestion from one of you that we should have a Facebook group, private Facebook group, so that the students can interact with each other. Right now, we don't have any forum, unlike in a physical classroom where there is an opportunity for students to interact with each other. We don't have any forum right now. So I'm fine with this idea of having a Facebook group, private group, to interact so that people can share the messages. If they are, it can also help, like somebody has a problem with some aspects of the course, they maybe some student, another student who has already solved that particular problem can help, or somebody could having a problem with Devanagari, somebody who knows Devanagari can help, or somebody could be having a problem with computer, like typing Devanagari on the computer, so somebody else can help. So we can have this forum. uh, I'm not a Facebook user myself. I do not exactly know how effective or how well that would work. Want to know your thoughts. So please send me the email, and also if somebody can volunteer to manage that group, and at the end of the week or some twice a week can send us any questions which are from the group which I need to address in the class, so I can do that. So if somebody, people, what I just wanted to understand, what's your opinion? Do you think it would be a good idea? It will be helpful for you? Then we can start this Facebook group. And also I want somebody who can volunteer for, who is a Facebook user, who understands Facebook. I'm not the best person for that, and can moderate the group, for example. So send me the email with your thoughts, suggestions, or comments. We are also planning to have a WhatsApp broadcast list, which will be announced later on, maybe next week, where we will use the WhatsApp for sending the reminders for the class or any file which is uploaded in the repository. Like when we upload the video file or when we upload the class notes file, we can inform you using a WhatsApp message. So we are planning to have, the things are not ready at our end yet, but hopefully they would be by next week. And then we will let you know about that WhatsApp broadcast list. It will be a broadcast list, so it will not be a group. That means you will be able to receive the messages from us, and you can send the message back to us, but there would be no interaction between the participants. People will not know each other's number or those kind of things. So that would be primarily just to communicate those aspects which we want to communicate with you regarding reminder notifications or file update notifications. I also want to know, today is the 4th class. So we decided before we started this course that first 4 classes we will not be using this book, Sanskrit-Subodhini, which is the recommended book for this course. And after 4 classes, we'll start using that book, because that book primarily uses Devanagari. So among you, right now, there are 73 participants. How many of you who are still not comfortable with Devanagari at all? And if you let me know that, because what I can do, I can still in the class, as long as I'm not directly referring to the book, I can still use the Roman script for your understanding. But the things which are in the book, that cannot be helped. You have to learn Devanagari in order to read those parts, because book itself uses Devanagari script alone, not the transliteration script. So I know many of you have picked up Devanagari in the last 1 month gap, 1.5 month gap between these two courses. And if there is any difficulty, I can help with that particular aspect. But in general, I just wanted to let you know that book itself has so I would recommend that even though of those of you who do not know Devanagari, you can still continue attending the classes. See if you can pick up Devanagari, and if you find it very difficult to follow the classes itself, most of the time in the class itself, I can use the both scripts, Devanagari and Roman script. But in the book, I cannot help. So in the class, so you can still keep attending the classes, and as I said, work on your Devanagari, and hopefully it will be okay. But we will start using the exercises from this new book, which we have recommended, which we will be using as our textbook for the course 2. Also, I wanted to show you the exercise work. So they are already uploaded on the repository. On the repository, we have also uploaded, I do not know if any of you got to see it, there is other study material, nominal declensions. So all the nominal declensions we have done so far, they are all there in this file. Created one so Tapasya Nanji created this beautiful file with the contents as well as the one page for every declension. So you can print it multiple pages in a sheet, and it can become your cheat sheet. And it's very well formatted. It has both Devanagari and transliteration. And thanks to the Pasyananji, this has come out to be as a very good resource. So this has all the forms, nominal forms, which we have done so far. So like we uploaded this file, but I understand many of you might not know when this file was uploaded and may not have been able to access it. So WhatsApp notification can be useful for those kind of things. For the exercises from starting 212, which we did in the class today, then 213, this is from Gita. So I have taken from second chapter only these words, just like I showed you the Gita example. So here I have taken from the second chapter, and you know we are doing the scripture course where the second chapter has this file where all the words are split and the translation is given. So you can use that file, try to get to the Vigraha of Samasa, the paraphrase. And if you can figure out, that would be good. If not, then you can try to use this link and see how much can you figure out. This, if you are able to figure this out, this should give you a good confidence, because this is directly from the text of Bhagavad Gita. And you will also see how the samasa are used in the sentence as a whole. So important exercise, but it could be a little difficult for some of you. Then exercise 214. So here I'm giving you this exercise, lesson 1 from this book, Sanskrit-Subodhini. The lesson 1 is only for script. So any one of you can do it. It's a just practice of the Devanagari script and transliteration script. And from next week onwards, we can have more exercises from this book. And the exercise 215. This is the study lesson 18 from Thomas Eugeni's book, part 1. And the exercise. So this is an important milestone for us. So we have completed the first volume of Introduction to Sanskrit today with this lesson. And this is a really important thing, because to be able to complete one full book in such a short time, we had only 16 classes in the first course and 4 classes here. It's really important, and I must really appreciate for those of you who have persisted with this course and done all the exercise and submissions. It will give you a good confidence in Sanskrit, and this book, when you have studied it, anytime you need to revise, it will be much easier for you to go back to this book and revise your lessons. So congratulations to all of you that this one full book of Sanskrit part 1 is completed. Again, as if you have any questions, please feel free to send it to us. And Going forward, we will have some exercises from Thomas Egan's book 2, part 2, as well as Sanskrit-Subodhini. Sanskrit-Subodhini, for those of you who have not been able to purchase it, I have given the purchase links in one of the class notes earlier, where it is cheap, available cheaper, like Barnes and Nobles. Amazon, I think, was more expensive. Barnes and Nobles was cheaper. So I have given those links. You can buy those, buy the book if you haven't already. Okay, so there is a comment here that the book does not have the answers to exercise. So will this be provided? We can check for any mistakes. We will provide answers, and there is a place where the good thing about this book is that the exercises, I'll share that link with you. That link is fine to share. The exercises are spoken. They are not solved, or some of them are solved also, but they are spoken by the author himself. So you can get a feeling of that, how the words are pronounced in Sanskrit directly from the author. So that link I'll share. I'll put it in our important documents. So you will have that link there. So again, in mail from US to Spain. So till the time the book is coming, you can use the soft copy also. So if I have Shabd-Manjari, will I need Sanskrit-Subodhini? Yes, Sanskrit-Subodhini is a proper text. Shabd-Manjari is just a cheat sheet for all the word forms. Sanskrit-Subodhini is a proper text for learning Sanskritam. It's a very different thing. Okay, so with this, we'll finish our sessions and with the closing prayers. As I said, please submit the exercises and also any questions you may have. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukkha bhag bhavet. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you, everyone.